Imagine a world of absolute darkness. A world where the pressure would crush you instantly, where the temperature hovers just above freezing, where no light has penetrated for millions of years. A world more alien than the surface of Mars. Yet right here on Earth, this world exists beneath the waves, in the deep ocean, in the abyssal plains and trenches that cover more than half our planet's surface. We've mapped more of the Moon and Mars than we have of our own ocean floor. We've sent 12 people to the Moon, but only 3 have descended to the deepest point in the ocean. The ocean covers 71% of Earth's surface. It contains 97% of Earth's water, and yet we've explored less than 5% of it. The deep ocean remains Earth's final frontier, a vast, dark wilderness filled with creatures and phenomena that challenge our understanding of life itself. Tonight, we'll descend into this mysterious realm. We'll discover creatures that glow in the dark, fish that look like monsters from nightmares, ecosystems that thrive without sunlight, and geological wonders hidden beneath kilometers of water. We'll explore how the deep ocean shapes our climate, produces our oxygen, and harbors secrets we're only beginning to understand. So take a deep breath and prepare to dive into the unknown. Let's descend into the abyss. Part 1. Zones of the Ocean. The Sunlight Zone. Our journey begins at the surface, in the Sunlight Zone, or Epipelagic Zone. This extends from the surface down to about 200 meters, roughly 650 feet. This is the ocean most of us know, the bright, warm, productive waters where sunlight penetrates and photosynthesis occurs. This zone contains most of the ocean's life. Phytoplankton, microscopic plants, form the base of the marine food web. These tiny organisms produce half of the oxygen we breathe. Every other breath you take comes from the ocean, not from forests or grasslands, but from these microscopic plants drifting in the sunlit surface waters. Fish, dolphins, sea turtles, sharks, all the marine life we're familiar with live primarily in this zone. The water is warm, sometimes over 30 degrees Celsius at the surface in tropical regions. Light is abundant. Life is everywhere. But this zone represents only a small fraction of the ocean's volume. Below 200 meters, sunlight begins to fade. And as we descend deeper, we enter an entirely different world. The Twilight Zone. From 200 to 1,000 meters depth lies the Twilight Zone, or Mesopelagic Zone. This is the realm of fading light. Sunlight penetrates here, but only barely. The deeper you go, the darker it becomes, until at the bottom of this zone, almost no light remains. The water temperature drops dramatically. While surface waters might be 25 or 30 degrees Celsius, at 1,000 meters, the temperature has fallen to about 5 degrees Celsius, just above freezing.
This zone is home to more fish biomass than any other part of the ocean. Billions of small fish, squid, and crustaceans live here, forming the largest migration on Earth. Every night, they swim upward, hundreds of meters, to feed in the productive surface waters. Before dawn, they descend back into the darkness. This daily migration, called diel vertical migration, involves more biomass than all the wild land animals combined. In the Twilight Zone, bioluminescence becomes common. About 90% of animals here can produce light. They use it to attract prey, communicate with potential mates, confuse predators, or create camouflage. When you see the glow, you realize, in the deep ocean, life doesn't just adapt to darkness, it creates its own light. The midnight zone below. 1,000 meters, we enter the midnight zone, or bathypelagic zone, extending from 1,000 to 4,000 meters. Here, sunlight never reaches. The darkness is absolute. The pressure is crushing, about 100 times atmospheric pressure at 1,000 meters, increasing as you descend. The temperature is a constant 2 to 4 degrees Celsius, just above freezing. Food is scarce. Most organic matter from the surface is consumed before it reaches these depths. What does make it down? Dead organisms, fecal pellets, marine snow, falls slowly through thousands of meters of water, decaying as it descends. Yet life persists. The creatures here are adapted to extreme conditions. Many are small, slow-moving, and energy efficient. Metabolism rates are low. Growth is slow. Lifespans can be extraordinarily long. Some fish live for over a century, growing slowly in the cold, food-poor environment. Bioluminescence is even more common here than in the twilight zone. In total darkness, the ability to produce light becomes invaluable. Some creatures have evolved bioluminescent lures to attract prey. Others use light for camouflage, a technique called counter-illumination, where they match the faint light from above to avoid casting a silhouette. The abyssal zone. From 4,000 to 6,000 meters lies the abyssal zone. This is the deep ocean plain, covering more of Earth's surface than all the continents combined. The abyssal plains are the flattest, most featureless areas on Earth. Vast stretches of seafloor covered in fine sediment. The pressure here is about 400 to 600 times atmospheric pressure. The temperature is near freezing. The darkness is complete. And yet, life exists. Abyssal plains host diverse communities of organisms, brittle stars, sea cucumbers, worms, and microorganisms that feed on the sparse organic matter drifting down from above. Life is sparse but adapted. Many creatures are deposit feeders, sifting through sediment for organic particles. Others are scavengers, waiting for the occasional carcass of a large animal, a whale, a fish, a squid, to fall from the waters above. When such a carcass arrives, it's a feast. Scavengers converge from kilometers away, drawn by chemical signals, consuming the windfall over weeks or months. The Hadal Zone. Below 6,000 meters lies the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the Greek underworld. This is the realm of the ocean trenches, the deepest parts of the ocean, plunging down to nearly 11,000 meters at the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench. Only 1 to 2% of the ocean floor is this deep, confined to trenches formed where tectonic plates collide and one plate subducts beneath another. These trenches are among the most extreme environments on Earth. The pressure at the bottom of the Mariana Trench is over 1,000 times atmospheric pressure, equivalent to about 50 jumbo jets stacked on top of you. For decades, scientists believed nothing could survive at such depths. The pressure would crush any living thing. But they were wrong. In 1960, when humans first descended to the Challenger Deep, they saw life, shrimp-like amphipods and flatfish. Since then, we've discovered thriving ecosystems in the Hadal Zone. These creatures have evolved remarkable adaptations. Their cells contain special molecules that protect proteins from being denatured by pressure. Their membranes are uniquely structured to remain flexible. They're small, slow-moving, and efficient, and they're far more diverse than we expected. Part 2. The creatures of the deep bioluminescence, living light. In the deep ocean, darkness is the default state. But it's not empty darkness, it's filled with living light. Bioluminescence, the production of light by living organisms, is one of the most widespread adaptations in the deep sea. Bioluminescence is created through a chemical reaction. A light-emitting molecule called luciferin reacts with oxygen, catalyzed by an enzyme called luciferase. The reaction produces light with minimal heat, so efficient that it's called cold light. Different species use bioluminescence for different purposes. The anglerfish has a bioluminescent lure dangling in front of its mouth, created by symbiotic bacteria living in a specialized structure. The lure attracts prey, which the anglerfish then snaps up with its enormous jaws. Firefly squid produce blue bioluminescent light from organs called photophores covering their bodies. They can control the intensity and pattern of this light, using it for communication, hunting, and camouflage. The vampire squid, despite its ominous name, is harmless. When threatened, it turns itself inside out, displaying bioluminescent organs that startle predators. It also releases a cloud of bioluminescent mucus, creating a glowing decoy while it escapes into the darkness. Hatchetfish use counter-illumination, one of the most sophisticated forms of camouflage in nature. Photophores on their undersides produce light that matches the faint, downwelling light from above, erasing their silhouette when viewed from below. They can adjust the intensity and angle of this light to perfectly match their surroundings. The cookie-cutter shark, a small but fierce predator, has bioluminescent photophores on its underside except for a dark collar. From below, it looks like a small fish, easy prey. But when a larger predator attacks the small fish, the cookie-cutter shark whips around and uses its specialized teeth to carve out a circular plug of flesh from the attacker. Giant squid. Legends made, real for centuries. Sailors told stories of giant sea monsters with tentacles long enough to pull ships beneath the waves. These tales were dismissed as myth, but the myths were based on reality. The giant squid. Giant squid can grow to over 13 meters long, with eyes the size of dinner plates, the largest eyes in the animal kingdom. These enormous eyes gather maximum light in the dim depths, allowing the squid to detect predators and prey in near-total darkness. For most of history, we knew giant squid only from dead specimens washed ashore or found in the stomachs of sperm whales, their primary predator. But in 2004, Japanese researchers captured the first photographs of a living giant squid in its natural habitat. In 2012, they captured video footage. The squid moved gracefully, its tentacles flowing, its body pulsing with color changes. We still know very little about giant squid behavior, reproduction, or ecology. They live at depths of 300 to 1,000 meters in the twilight and midnight zones, where observation is difficult. They're likely ambush predators, using their long tentacles to capture fish and other squid. Even larger is the colossal squid, which can be heavier than the giant squid and has rotating hooks on its tentacles. Found only in the deep waters around Antarctica, colossal squid are even more mysterious than giant squid. We've found only a handful of specimens and never observed one alive in its habitat. The anglerfish, beauty in horror. Few creatures capture the alien nature of the deep sea like the anglerfish. With its enormous mouth filled with needle-like teeth, its distended belly, and the bioluminescent lure dangling from its head, it looks like something from a nightmare. Female anglerfish can grow to over a meter long. They're ambush predators, hovering motionless in the darkness, their lure dangling enticingly. When a fish approaches the light, the anglerfish strikes with shocking speed, its jaws unhinging to swallow prey nearly as large as itself. But the most bizarre aspect of anglerfish biology is their reproduction. Males are tiny, often less than 10 centimeters long, and look nothing like females. When a male finds a female, he bites into her skin and releases enzymes that dissolve his mouth and her body where they connect. His circulatory system fuses with hers. Over time, he degenerates, losing his eyes, fins, and most organs, becoming essentially a parasitic appendage that provides sperm whenever the female is ready to spawn. Some species of anglerfish have multiple males attached to a single female, each one a living sperm bank. This extreme sexual parasitism evolved because finding a mate in the vast darkness of the deep ocean is incredibly difficult. Once a male finds a female, he never lets go. Dumbo octopus, the deep's gentle drift. Not all deep-sea creatures are horrifying. The Dumbo octopus, living at depths of 3,000 to 7,000 meters, is arguably adorable. Named for its ear-like fins that resemble Dumbo the elephant's ears, these octopuses drift gracefully through the water, flapping their fins like wings. They're small, usually less than 30 centimeters long, with gelatinous bodies that handle deep-sea pressure without rigid structures. They hover above the seafloor, occasionally descending to capture prey, worms, crustaceans, small invertebrates with their 8-webbed arms. Dumbo octopuses have been found deeper than any other octopus at nearly 7,000 meters. At these depths, every adaptation matters. Their bodies are extremely soft, with minimal musculature, reducing energy needs. They move slowly and efficiently, conserving energy in an environment where food is scarce. Barrelé fish, the transparent head. Perhaps the strangest fish in the deep ocean is the barrelé fish, also called the spook fish. It has a completely transparent dome on top of its head, through which you can see its tubular eyes pointing upward. For decades after its discovery, scientists were puzzled by this anatomy. The preserved specimens they had all showed damaged transparent domes, and the eyes seemed fixed in position. But in 2004, researchers captured video of a living barrelé and solved the mystery. The transparent dome is filled with fluid and acts like a window. The tubular eyes, which point upward to detect the silhouettes of prey against the faint light from above, can actually rotate within the dome. When the fish detects prey, it rotates its eyes forward and tilts its body upward to pursue. The transparent dome protects the delicate eyes from the stinging cells of jellyfish, which are common prey. This is an elegant solution to the problem of hunting in the twilight zone. Sensitive eyes that can look up to detect prey, protected by a transparent shield. with the ability to rotate forward when needed. Gulper eel, the ultimate swallower. The gulper eel, or pelican eel, has perhaps the most disproportionate mouth in the ocean. Its massive jaws can unhinge, creating a mouth far larger than the rest of its body. The eel's stomach is equally distensible, allowing it to swallow prey larger than itself. Living at depths of 500 to 3,000 meters, gulper eels drift through the water with their enormous mouths open, like living nets. When prey swims into the mouth, the eel snaps its jaws shut and swallows. Its long, whip-like tail, which can be several times longer than its body, has a bioluminescent organ at the tip, possibly used to attract prey. Gulper eels exemplify deep-sea survival strategies, low energy expenditure, opportunistic feeding, and the ability to consume large meals when they're available to compensate for long periods of starvation. Zombie worms, the bone eaters. When a whale dies and sinks to the ocean floor, an event called a whale fall, it creates an oasis of food in the food-poor deep sea. Scavengers converge, stripping the flesh over months. But even after the flesh is gone, life continues. Osedacs, also called zombie worms or bone-eating worms, colonize the remaining skeleton. These worms have no mouth or gut. Instead, they secrete acid to bore into whale bones and use symbiotic bacteria to digest the fats and proteins in the bone marrow. A whale skeleton can support a zombie worm community for decades. The worms themselves show extreme sexual dimorphism. Females are relatively large, up to a few centimeters, with root-like structures extending into the bone. Males are microscopic and live inside the female's tubes, existing only to fertilize eggs. Whale falls, with their specialized communities, have existed for millions of years. Fossil evidence shows similar bone-colonizing organisms from over 30 million years ago. These ecosystems demonstrate how the deep ocean recycles every scrap of organic matter, no matter how difficult to access. Part 3. Deep Sea Ecosystems, Hydrothermal Vents, Oases of Heat. In 1977, scientists exploring the Galapagos Rift made one of the most important biological discoveries of the 20th century. At a depth of 2,500 meters, they found hydrothermal vents, fissures in the seafloor spewing superheated water, and around these vents, thriving ecosystems unlike anything seen before. Hydrothermal vents form at mid-ocean ridges, where tectonic plates spread apart and magma rises close to the sea floor. Cold seawater seeps into cracks in the rock, is heated by the magma to over 400 degrees Celsius, dissolves minerals, and erupts back into the ocean through chimney-like structures. The water emerging from vents is toxic, filled with hydrogen sulfide, methane, and heavy metals. The temperature gradient is extreme. The vent water can be 400 degrees, while the surrounding ocean is near freezing. This seems like a place where nothing should survive, but life thrives. Giant tube worms, up to 2 meters long, cluster around vents. These worms have no mouth, no gut, no way to eat. Instead, they host symbiotic bacteria in a specialized organ. The bacteria use the hydrogen sulfide from the vents as an energy source, converting it and carbon dioxide into organic compounds through chemosynthesis, like photosynthesis, but using chemical energy instead of sunlight. The tube worms provide the bacteria with hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide from the vent water. The bacteria provide the worms with nutrients. It's a perfect symbiosis, allowing these creatures to thrive in an environment that would be instantly lethal to most life. Around the vents, entire ecosystems flourish. Vent crabs, blind shrimp, snails, fish, and octopuses all depend, directly or indirectly, on the chemosynthetic bacteria. These are the only ecosystems on Earth that don't rely on sunlight, existing independently of photosynthesis.
Hydrothermal vent communities can be incredibly productive, with biomass densities rivaling tropical rainforests. But each vent has a limited lifespan. Vents turn on and off as tectonic activity shifts. A vent might be active for decades or centuries, then go cold. When it does, the community dies or migrates to a new vent. This creates an interesting evolutionary puzzle. How do species disperse from one vent to another across vast stretches of cold, dark seafloor? Scientists have discovered that many vent species have larvae that can drift in currents for weeks or months, allowing them to colonize new vents hundreds of kilometers away. Cold seeps, slow-burn oases. While hydrothermal vents are dramatic, with superheated water and towering chimneys, cold seeps are quieter but no less remarkable. Cold seeps occur where hydrocarbon-rich fluids, methane and hydrogen sulfide, seep slowly from the seafloor. Like hydrothermal vents, cold seeps support chemosynthetic ecosystems. Bacteria and archaea use methane as an energy source, and these microorganisms form the base of the food web. Clams, mussels, and tube worms host these microbes symbiotically, just as at hydrothermal vents. Cold seeps can be active for thousands of years, much longer than hydrothermal vents. This stability allows more complex communities to develop. In the Gulf of Mexico, cold seep communities include large fields of mussels, colonies of tube worms, and even chemosynthetic bacterial mats covering the seafloor. One remarkable cold seep inhabitant is the ice worm, a polychaete worm that lives on methane hydrate, a crystalline form of methane and water that exists at cold temperatures and high pressures. These worms feed on bacteria that grow on the methane hydrate, living on a substance that most organisms can't even touch. The deep scattering layer. One of the ocean's mysteries was discovered not by biologists, but by sonar operators during World War II. Their sonar detected a layer in the ocean that seemed to be the seafloor, but it moved. During the day, it was at depths of 400 to 1,000 meters. At night, it rose to near the surface. Then, at dawn, it descended again. This false bottom is called the deep scattering layer, and it's not the seafloor. It's billions upon billions of small fish, squid, krill, and other zooplankton, rising at night to feed in productive surface waters and descending during the day to avoid predators. This daily migration is the largest movement of biomass on Earth. It's estimated that 10 billion tons of animals participate. The migration links surface and deep ecosystems, transporting carbon from the surface to the depths as the animals feed at night and excrete and respire during the day in deep water. This biological carbon pump helps regulate Earth's climate. The deep scattering layer sequesters carbon in the deep ocean, removing it from the atmosphere for decades, centuries, or even millennia. Understanding this process is crucial for understanding global carbon cycles and predicting climate change. Whale falls, islands of plenty. When a great whale dies and sinks to the seafloor, it becomes a whale fall, one of the most important ecological events in the deep ocean. A single whale carcass can provide as much organic matter as the seafloor in that area receives in 2,000 years. Whale falls support a succession of communities. First come the mobile scavengers, sleeper sharks, hagfish, rat-tail fish, crabs, that strip the soft tissues over months. A 40-ton whale carcass can sustain scavengers for up to 2 years. After the scavengers, enrichment opportunists arrive: worms, crustaceans, mollusks, that feed on organic-rich sediments around the skeleton. This stage can last another 2 years. Finally, the sulfophilic stage begins. Bacteria colonize the bones, breaking down lipids in the bone marrow and producing hydrogen sulfide. This attracts chemosynthetic bacteria and the animals that depend on them, including zombie worms. This stage can last for decades. Whale falls are stepping stones, allowing species to disperse across the deep ocean. Many whale fall species are also found at hydrothermal vents and cold seeps, suggesting that these chemosynthetic ecosystems are connected, with whale falls serving as intermediate habitats. Before industrial whaling, whale falls were likely common, with a large whale carcass sinking to the seafloor somewhere in the world every few days. But whaling reduced whale populations by over 90%. Today, whale falls are rare, potentially disrupting the connectivity of deep-sea chemosynthetic ecosystems. Part 4. Mysteries and Discoveries. The bloop, unexplained sounds. In 1997, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, detected an ultra-low frequency sound in the Pacific Ocean. The sound, dubbed the bloop, was extremely loud and was detected by sensors over 5,000 kilometers apart. The bloop's frequency pattern suggested a living creature, but it was far louder than any known biological source. Blue whales, the loudest animals on Earth, produce sounds reaching about 188 decibels. The bloop was louder. Some speculated it could be an unknown giant sea creature, perhaps something even larger than a blue whale. For years, the bloop remained a mystery, fueling speculation about massive, undiscovered creatures lurking in the deep ocean. But in 2005, NOAA determined the source. The bloop was produced by ice calving, large icebergs breaking off glaciers and cracking as they entered the water. It was a disappointment to those hoping for a sea monster, but it revealed something important. The ocean is filled with sounds we don't understand. Undersea listening stations detect strange, unexplained noises regularly. Most have mundane explanations: geological activity, ice, distant storms. But some remain unexplained, reminders of how much we still don't know. Unidentified species. Every deep-sea expedition discovers new species. In 2020, scientists exploring the Clarion-Clipperton Zone in the Pacific found more than 5,000 different species, most never before seen. It's estimated that we've discovered less than 10% of deep-sea species. Many discoveries are bizarre. In 2001, researchers found a species of yeti crab with hairy claws near hydrothermal vents. The hair consists of filaments covered in bacteria, which the crab farms and possibly eats. In 2007, a new species of jellyfish was discovered in the Arctic Ocean. It grows to 2 meters across, with tentacles over 6 meters long, and is believed to be one of the largest predators in Arctic waters. In 2016, scientists exploring near Hawaii filmed a ghostly white octopus at a depth of over 4,000 meters, deeper than any octopus had been seen before. It likely represents a new species, possibly even a new genus. Each discovery reveals how little we know. The deep ocean may contain millions of undiscovered species, from microbes to large predators, with adaptations and lifestyles we can barely imagine. The Mariana Trench, the deepest point. The Challenger, deep in the Mariana Trench, is the deepest known point in the ocean at nearly 11,000 meters. Only 4 people have ever descended to this depth, and only 2 expeditions have been made in the last 60 years. At the bottom, the pressure is over 1,000 times atmospheric pressure. The temperature is just above freezing. Sunlight has never reached here. It's one of the most extreme environments on Earth, comparable in harshness to the surface of Venus or deep space. Yet, life exists. Amphipods, xenophyophores, giant single-celled organisms, and even fish have been filmed at full trench depth. These creatures have evolved extraordinary adaptations, including special pressure-resistant proteins and unique membrane structures. In 2019, the deepest fish ever recorded was filmed at 8,178 meters in the Mariana Trench. It was a snailfish, a small gelatinous creature moving slowly along the seafloor. The discovery showed that even at these crushing depths, vertebrate life persists. Perhaps most concerning, the deepest parts of the ocean are not pristine. In 2019, researchers found plastic bags and candy wrappers at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Microplastics have been found in organisms from the deepest trenches. Human impact has reached even the most remote, extreme environments on Earth. The future of deep-sea exploration. Despite centuries of ocean exploration, the deep sea remains largely unknown. We have better maps of Mars than of our ocean floor. We've sent more people to the moon than to the deepest ocean, but technology is advancing. Remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, and autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs, can explore deeper and longer than humans. Advances in imaging, genetic sequencing, and sensors are revealing the deep ocean's secrets at an accelerating pace. Deep-sea mining is a growing concern. The seafloor contains valuable minerals, including rare earth elements used in electronics. Companies are developing technologies to extract these minerals, but the environmental impact could be catastrophic. Deep-sea ecosystems are fragile and slow to recover. A single mining operation could destroy communities that took thousands of years to develop. Understanding the deep ocean isn't just about satisfying curiosity. The deep ocean plays crucial roles in Earth's climate, carbon cycle, and oxygen production. It's a reservoir of biodiversity, a source of new medicines and biotechnologies, and a part of our planet we've only begun to understand. Conclusion. We've descended tonight from the sunlit surface to the crushing depths of the Hadal Zone. We've encountered creatures that glow in the dark, fish with transparent heads, worms that eat bones, and ecosystems that thrive on chemicals from Earth's interior. The deep ocean is Earth's final frontier, more alien than many places in space. It's a realm of darkness and pressure, of cold and scarcity, yet it teems with life. Life that has adapted to conditions we once thought impossible. Life that survives without sunlight, that thrives under crushing pressure, that creates its own light in the eternal darkness. We've explored less than 5% of the ocean. 95% remains unknown, unmapped, unseen. Every expedition discovers new species, new ecosystems, new phenomena. The ocean holds secrets we haven't begun to imagine, creatures we've never seen, processes we don't understand, connections we haven't discovered. The deep ocean reminds us of how much remains unknown on our own planet. We search for life on Mars and the moons of Jupiter, yet right here on Earth, in the depths beneath the waves, we're still discovering forms of life that challenge our definitions and assumptions. As you prepare for sleep tonight, consider this. Beneath the ocean's surface, in the vast darkness, in the cold and pressure, life continues. Bioluminescent creatures drift through the void. Chemosynthetic bacteria convert poison into food. Giant squid hunt in the twilight. And at the very bottom of the deepest trench, in the most extreme environment on Earth, life persists. The ocean is our planet's greatest mystery, a wilderness that covers most of Earth yet remains largely unexplored. It's a reminder that we live on a planet of wonders, that discovery is still possible, and that the unknown is closer than we think, right here beneath the waves. Thank you for joining me on this journey to the ocean depths. Sleep well and dream of the mysteries that lie beneath the surface. Good night.